You ready, Judy, Matt? Can we do the pledge? All right. We're going to go and get started, folks. Thank you. With the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Another summer Board of Education meeting, and we're all ready to go. And Jay, true, if I am going to call for modifications to the agenda.
Yes, I would like to pull from the consent agenda. Let's see, number 8. But then I pulled them for individual discussion.
Correct.
Tonight. So just pulling them out to have them stand on their own.
Number 8, resolution to approve agreement for wide area network.
Are we going to try and find a home for these, or put them at the end?
We'll do them at the end of the consent.
All right, sounds good. So I'd like to pull number 8, number 9, which is a resolution to approve agreement for fiber for high-speed communications with OCM BOCES. And then skipping, I'd like to pull number 11, the resolution to approve agreement with SchoolNet for a web-based instructional management system. And then skipping to number 13, I'd like to pull that as well. That's the last one. 13, the resolution to approve agreement for classroom technology, library automation, and other instructional technologies. So that will go to, we're going to put that at the end of the consent, and so we will address those items and get more clarity for our benefit, for the public's benefit on those items, and we'll address those items then. Jay, there was nothing else, right? No, I didn't have anything. I did not have anything.
In the agenda that was sent out probably at the end of last week, there was an item for APPR, the annual professional performance review that we're working on with the district to have ready by September 1st. That has been pulled for this meeting. We will not quite ready for us to discuss and vote on tonight. We will have a special meeting next Wednesday, that's August 31st, after the high school graduation, the August graduation. We're probably going to, we'll come in and have a discussion regarding APPR and where we are with the district. And we do have to have a template, a rubric ready to go for state ed and for our website September 1st. So we will be meeting on August 31st, probably around 7:30 or so. We'll nail that down. Kimberly will let everyone know. We're still working on the time, but let this as advance public notice of that meeting next Wednesday to ensure that we get all our summer work done, Dr. Brown, which seems to be quite a long list of work that has to be done. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and move on with our agenda. I'm not sure whether anyone signed up to speak. Anyone? Martha, go ahead.
I didn't, but I will. I think we're first on the list. My name is Martha Crummel, and I'd like to introduce Tina Mullenkamp. I am the immediate past president of the Fine Arts Booster Group, and Tina, I'm so happy to say, is this year's president. So I wanted to introduce you formally. We're excited. We're excited about the work of the booster group. I'm still involved and will be the immediate past as well as the ad sales chairperson this year. But we wanted to, before the school year gets underway, share with you our year-end report from this past school year, and also share with you your golden pass to the arts for this coming year. It will admit you and a guest to the events that require a ticket in the district. There aren't that many. Usually it's the plays and the musicals. And we are happy to host you as our guest to those events. We know many of you go to those on a regular basis, and we thank you for that, and we're hoping for a great school year. don't know, Tina, if you wanted to say anything?
Not tonight.
Okay.
You'll see me again?
Oh, good.
Pretty big shoes to fill, Tina, but I'm sure you're up to it.
Believe me, I'm aware of that effort.
And we always appreciate the golden passes, and we do enjoy not only the plays and the music. It's all good. There's not always a game to go to, so as we've said many times, the quality of the productions, the talent of the kids in the district is amazing, and please take a chance to go see it, whether it's at Boynton, DeWitt Elementary School, certainly the high school. That's where it really all comes together. But LACS, looking forward to it all. Susan? Yes? Okay.
Please. I have to be trained to sign in, but well.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I want to share with you a little bit of what's transpired over the summer. A lot's been happening. I was privileged enough to attend the new teacher orientations today. I did some presentation, but I got to stay with the teachers and help them feel comfortable and give them some inside information, the things that we don't deal with in the general big picture, some of the smaller stuff like how do I get my key and where does my picture get taken, which is all given, but you know there's a lot of information. It's going really well. I realize we have 5 or 6 openings that still exist. I'm very pleased to hear that you will have a meeting on the 23rd because we'd very much like to support being able to appoint the people who are going to get hired between now and then. And if you don't have a chance to approve them on the board report, you can't put them in the job as teachers. Therefore, you're going to have to get subs, and some of these people who are well qualified just need board approval. So it's one of those things that you're going to have to look at when Mr. Van Kuren returns from his time away refreshed and ready. I am going to remind him of the need for this protocol. So I'm grateful to know there will be a meeting. Hopefully you'll have a chance to look at those who will be hired. I presume it'll be 5 or 6 people. There are those openings. There are interviews. They're scheduled this week and next week. But if we can get that vote in, then those people can at least start work with the kids. I would hate to see the kids have to start with somebody else before the year starts when we have some really great candidates. I've been sitting with approximately 15 new hires. These are not all new teachers, but new to the district. They're coming back. They are bright, they are capable, they are cross-generational, they are technologically savvy, and asking for things like smart boards in their classrooms and their computers now. They want to get started, they're anxious. They are very tuned into the equity goal. They really had a wonderful discussion on cultural competence. It was open, it was honest. I was somewhat surprised, but they were very forthright with what they knew and what they had to do. It's a really bright future. It really made me personally feel very confident in those that we've hired. We've really done a good job. We are very lucky to have benefited from the layoffs in Syracuse and Elmira and Binghamton because we've got seasoned professionals who are coming here. I'm going to tell you that most of them took a significant pay cut. They're happy to have a job, but more importantly, they care about and spoke about why they're here. And it really is to make a difference and address the kids. And that was really the good answer. It was strong to forming a community. So this is a happier time for me because I know that we have a bright future in a lot of the things. We have a long way to go, but it's coming. I thank you for your work over the summer and hope you had a lot of rest. We have a lot to do. I know you're well aware we're going to enter negotiations fairly soon, and I want you to be prepared and ready, and let's see if we can do a better job this time to get where we need to go together. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Any board responses right now? Well, we'll keep moving on to the consent agenda. And Brad, just so you know, we did pull number 8, 9, 11, and 13 for discussion after we do the consent. I'd entertain a motion.
Can you add a supplemental?
Oh,
No, we did.
it was handed out though.
Are you intending to vote on it or not?
We need to add it, yes. I will entertain the motion to do that.
I'll move to add the supplemental to the consent.
Second.
There you go.
Supplemental.
And then I'm going to absent myself from the vote because my daughter's on the
Right.
personnel report.
I noticed a Granger name there.
Now you, Brad?
So, can you come? So Kimberly Kimberly, if the minutes would show that I absented myself from the room, we can vote.
When did the supplemental come out?
Right,
It's in his packet, but I didn't see
just now.
it. It was sent, I believe, from Tammy yesterday by email, and it was at your seat this evening.
At my seat this evening.
They were emailed yesterday.
It was emailed yesterday.
Pretty big, it's a big one. It's a huge one, yeah.
It is?
It's huge.
So it's not different than what was emailed?
It's in
Did you
addition
get
to
one,
what
Susan?
was, or, no, it's the same as what was emailed yesterday.
Thank you.
And we always appreciate Brad showing up just in the nick of time so we don't miss anything.
Well,
Go ahead.
Just in terms of process, is there a need to add a supplemental if there's already a personnel report currently listed on the consent agenda?
It's been our practice.
It's been our practice to add the supplemental
Brought in.
that is walked into the meeting.
I would like to talk to that too. I'm on the HR committee and we did not see half of these, so I don't know.
It's a good time to hold this up.
I know it's not a good time to hold this up because people get paid, but I'm not gonna,
A lot of activity,
yeah,
you last minute.
yeah,
And we got
we have to do
to,
it,
we got
but,
to do yesterday.
yeah.
I looked it over last night, I saw nothing.
But trying to process because next week we could be in the same situation again.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
24 hours, is that going to be enough for the board?
I'm asking my questions, I'm confused that we're calling it supplemental, but what I got yesterday I thought was the personnel report. So when you say supplemental, I'm thinking something in addition to what I already read yesterday. You're telling me it's not the case?
My understanding is that Friday, in my absence, Doreen sent home an initial personnel report in this packet.
Right.
That would have been the first one, and then yesterday what came by email would have been the supplemental.
So which was just an updated version of what we got in our packet, I imagine.
No, it's completely in addition to, it did not include the original information that was provided in writing on Friday.
These are all new names.
But there's no changes from the report that was emailed to us yesterday. What I have in front of me is what was emailed to us yesterday. Okay.
In addition to what went home on Friday.
Exactly. Any other questions?
I would just hope that we have better clarification of that, because I read the report that came via email, but didn't know that it was in addition to what was in the packet, so I didn't read what was in the packet. I thought it was the same thing. So to be voting on something that I haven't thoroughly looked at seems a little unfortunate. But I'll own my own mistake. I should do both. All the more reason we need to get board docs up and running, so we have one repository to find all information.
Anything else regarding the consent agenda minus the items plus the...
Yes.
Go ahead.
A quick word for our fellow colleagues on the consent agenda item B, if I can find the actual number, B12, the board policy services agreement with NISBA. The policy committee met, that's Judy, Pat, and myself, and reviewed a couple of different services to have organization, in essence, assist us with our policy. Beyond going through BOCES, we decided to support the NISBA services that will not only update our paper policy book and get us in line with New York State regulations, which we are unsure about our status currently, but more importantly, would also make the policy book fully digital, searchable within 2 years as well, as opposed to a 4-year wait. And so this service is $3,000 to $4,000 more, if I'm not mistaken, from the Erie BOCES, but we felt that the services that we get in return were much worth the additional cost, and seeing as the cost for us was minimal, given that our policy book being in line is of the utmost importance. So that, just so you have questions about that. Yes, Kimberly?
I would just note that the Erie One service didn't provide electronic. It was strictly going to be paper.
In addition,
So that's
there's
part
an
of the-
additional service we could have bought for the electronic.
That's the cost adjustment there, is the electronic.
Thank you. And I want to thank Kimberly for the excellent work that she provided the policy committee with reports and the review of multiple options. And so if any board members want to see that, by all means, please feel free to let me know and I can send it your way.
Very good. I think I'm still waiting for a motion for the consent agenda.
Also,
Oh, you're both quick?
second.
Second by Jay. Any other questions, discussions regarding those items? All in favor? That's everyone that's here, and Brad is in the room. And now we can bring Brad back in the room. And Dr. Brown, you did want to speak to these items, correct?
And you have some information in a packet as you see it. And I'll be referencing those materials as we talk through some things. At last spring's Board of Education work session around technology, much was revealed, particularly around some of our weaknesses and gaps with regards to technology planning and tools for our educators and for our young people. The board charged staff with coming back with a plan which included some numbers and some specific tools to get at our weaknesses, and get at our weaknesses in a way that we want to just making incremental changes, but leapfrogging in some ways to get to world-class status or excellence. And we worked hard. We think we have a plan to do just that. And I want to spend some time walking through some highlights of the plan and then get down to specific numbers and some things that we're hoping to get on board to move our work forward. You'll see this slide, and it's on, you have a copy of the slide at your seat. We've identified some areas that we have weaknesses. One was our infrastructure. And I'll speak to some things that have been done over the past few years and what we're hoping to do now going forward. You'll see infrastructure, and through the bond, we were able to upgrade our network operations center to NOC. We have some amazing closets, and we have a great data center. From there, the next steps, we knew that we needed to then look at wireless infrastructure, wireless access, which in our buildings right now is spies. We could be in some of our media centers and not have wireless access, and many of our classrooms not have wireless access. So we knew we would have to address that, and you'll see we're gonna bring some of that information back at another time to talk about how we can upgrade our wireless infrastructure going forward. But the package tonight includes the contract with BOE, I forget which BOE, but it was with the BOE was around increasing our bandwidth, and we'll talk about how we're going to do that. So we knew our bandwidth was an issue, which leads to our weaknesses with our infrastructure. So downloading video, video conferencing, downloading files from the internet has been a problem for students and staff. So we're addressing that through one of the contracts for an increase in our bandwidth capacity. And then in hardware, we noted last spring that we have, most of our computers are older than 5 years old. Many of them are 8, 9, and 10 years old, very old. And we also noted that some of our ratios are out of whack. We have some schools that have a 9-to-1 student-to-computer ratio, and at best we were at a 4-to-1. And those numbers include the 8 and 9-year-old computers. So obviously, and then we have, when it comes to teachers, we have many of our teachers who do not have a functioning laptop that's 5 years or less. So with this proposal and with some of the things we are voting on tonight in this consent agenda, we'll be able to put enough tools in our schools and in our teachers' hands to get to a 3-to-1 student-to-computer ratio, but in computers or devices that are 5 years old or less, and we'll get to a 1-to-1 with our teachers. Coupled with the bandwidth upgrade and our future wireless capacity upgrades or shifts, we see ourselves moving to this bring your own device to school. From our perspective, that's where school districts are going to have to go in order to get to the true 1-to-1 performance. Bringing the laptops and the computers, research is showing that 1/3 of our young people from ages 8 to 18 own a smartphone. That's 1/3. So we're talking about laptops, powerful laptops our young people own, and most of our policies prevent us from even bringing them to our schools. So going forward, I predict that many school districts and possibly us will be at a 1-to-1 because we're allowing our young people to bring their own devices into schools, and we're going to be using them to push teaching and learning. But with that wireless upgrade, coupled with those policy shifts, I see us going to a bring your own device and getting to a 1-to-1 student ratio in the near future. So we talked about the infrastructure upgrades and the hardware upgrades, and we'll talk about that later. So, and then finally, the software tools. Doing an assessment of what we currently have as far as software, we recognize we have many disparate systems, and many of those systems aren't meeting our operational needs. And we'll get into that a little bit when we talk about our solution for that. We know we have a functioning and a good student information system, school tools, and that's meeting our needs right now. That's a web-based student information system, and many other school districts in the state are using it. But we know we have a need for, and you could reference this piece here when it says, it speaks to WISE, an instructional management system. we framed it around our head-talk concept, the teaching and learning framework, professional learning community work, and human capital work. And when we think about each one of those, teaching and learning framework, our curriculum documents, our assessment items, the administering and grading online or paper pencil assessments, we have no tools to allow us to do those things right now in support of our teaching and learning framework. An instructional management system would allow that support. When we think about professional learning communities, our educators now, yes, we're asking them to collaborate, but we have no electronic means to support that collaboration. No file sharing. We have no intranet as an organization. So when educators come in, we have our website, but no intranet that's a secured wall for us to collaborate and share information and announcements, and for schools to post newsletters and so forth. An instructional management system, once we're looking at it, will do that. Our response to intervention module. I've been hearing much about how that's not meeting our needs also, and it's buggy and it's not doing what we need to do. The instructional management system and the one that we're looking at has a response to intervention module that will meet our needs. And if I can shift down to human capital work, we have no repository for our APPR evaluations. It's buggy and it's not, and our staff has lost confidence in it. This module, the human capital PD planner, for the tool that we're looking at, will allow us to do that and allow us to track professional development hours, build in succession planning, and do in an online professional development catalog. And you may have heard about My Learning Plan, which depends on who you talk to, there are mixed reviews about My Learning Plan. A true instructional management system will take care of that also. So what I'm talking about is a one-stop shop. I envision there being a one-stop shop for a student information system and an instructional management system in the near future. I know there have been attempts in this company that we're looking to partner with has tried to make that attempt to combine an instructional management system and a student information system. And they haven't quite figured that piece out yet. So right now, we still have SISs and we have instructional management systems. Right? Again, we have a functioning SIS, but we have no instructional management system. And we have some significant needs across the organization for an information management system. So I say all that, our plan and our package to get to world-class and excellent as well as our technology, infrastructure, and delivery would include the infrastructure pieces, the tools and hardware, and then the software packages. And if you look at this document, I've sort of costed it out, and I'll start with the telecommunications pieces. And I've been a former CEO. I've negotiated with vendors, numerous vendors around bandwidth. I don't think we're ever going to have enough bandwidth, especially with what our young people are attempting to do. But what I do know is that 10 meg connections coming into schools isn't going to work anymore. And we are going to get a video chat. We're not going to be able to download the kind of documents we need to download, and we're not going to be able to stream YouTube videos. Our young people are demanding that kind of access every day. So doubling our capacity and bandwidth will get us where we need to be for the time being. I see us maybe doubling in the future years. But going back to that increasing our bandwidth and doubling the size, typically that would come with a significant increase in cost, sometimes 2 times the cost that you were initially planned. We've been able to work with the Regional Information Center, negotiate pricing, look at discounts, look at E-rate reimbursement, which the district hasn't done much with that in the past. We've been able to do that, and we're going to double our bandwidth capacity with a new contract, and it's going to be at no new cost to the district. So that you may see a number there that includes a 5-year lease, or not, I'm sorry, a 5-year plan or payment plan for bandwidth and telecommunications. That's what we were paying already anyway. But now I'm here to tell you that we're going to double our bandwidth, and we won't have the frustration around those pieces. If you go down, you'll see current systems. I listed 4 systems that I know aren't meeting our needs and that can be replaced as we bring on a new system and we work through the customization of it. You'll see our curriculum database, our online APPR support, RTI Direct, and my learning plan. 4 systems that total close to $40,000 that I see being able to, us being able to replace with this one-stop shop of an approach that we're presenting to you. There is another one, and it's a data warehouse that we've done some research on, and it's something that we now we purchased through a regional information center, and it's a $40,000 cost, close to $40,000 cost. I'm confident that this system can replace that also, but that's something that we, in some ways, are required to use by the state. But once they see this kind of a tool, they may allow us to use this instead. So we're talking potentially $70,000, well, close to $80,000 in savings for systems that we can probably take offline if we bring on this new system. And you'll see the annualized cost of this new system. And that's coming at a significant discount because the vendors that we're working with, we've been able to negotiate some appropriate pricing because of the partnership they want to have with us. And they've understood the work that we're hoping to push forward, so they want to be a part of that. And then finally, you'll see the lease agreements. I sort of costed those out. We have in our instructional technology lines around $350,000 to purchase hardware each year. In the past, that money has been distributed out as part of innovative projects or proposals that individual schools or teachers submitted. And that it wasn't a systematic approach to it. So each year we were using around $350,000. But when doing that, you have the 8- and 9-year-old computers in some buildings. Some buildings have a 3-to-1 and some have a 10-to-1. It depended on who had the time to put in the proposals, who was an early adopter, and so forth. In some ways, we need to transition away from that model to have a refresh. I'm trying to transition from replacement to refresh cycle. Our proposal is to enter into a lease agreement, which will maximize our initial buying power. So, in over 5 years, $1.5 million, which is at $300,000 a year, we can get $1.5 million worth of equipment in here immediately. That will get us to the 3-to-1 and the 1-to-1, and with new equipment. What's great about this is that going through the lease agreement that we're going through, we get 50% of that reimbursed. So that $300,000 that we were spending each year now, it's really about $150,000 because $150,000 is coming back to us, which we can use to enter into another lease agreement or purchase virtual devices or use how we see fit to meet our technology needs. But now we have a replacement cycle. And we can guarantee we're at a 3-to-1 with 5-year-old computers or less in all of our buildings and in our teachers' hands with no new cost. I'm going to keep coming back to that because we've been able to work this out where it's no new cost, and in some instances with the telecommunications and with the lease agreement, we're saving some money that we can leverage to use in other ways. So I recognize that the numbers, the dollar amounts in there are significant, but it's the way we packaged it and it's planned to go to excellent for the technology we're excited about.
Are we getting aid at all on the 350 that's currently in the budget, to the line item? Some of that's been aidable, or it really has not been aidable? You're looking to...
It has been aidable?
At the state aid rate or close? Okay.
How are we doing with the county and the broadband and the
It's an ongoing conversation. I'm consulting with the broadband committee. I think they have a good grasp of the needs of the district. When we talk about that wireless infrastructure, we'll be talking more about it in future board meetings about how we can upgrade our wireless infrastructure. We're hoping to submit a plan that will allow for wireless access in our parking lots and playgrounds. And having done that before, talk about eliminating some equity issues and providing for some access on weekends and at night. It was amazing how it became a community around the school because wireless access was there. So as we look to upgrade our wireless infrastructure, we may look to do that in the vicinity, which may alleviate some of the delays in getting broadband out into some of our areas for value right now.
I'll ask again. There's 4 resolutions that I'm looking at, Dr. Brown. We're looking at 11-12 budget items. That's a budget that's already been approved by the public, and is this a net, or are we a net gain of X amount of dollars that we have to find somewhere else, or what's Margaret's here? Are we essentially same dollars being spent in a different way and hopefully a more efficient, prudent manner, or?
I love efficient, more prudent. But typically, when Margaret said it, people listen more. So I'm going to have Margaret say it, because I've had to convince her of this over the last couple of weeks that we're doing this for no new money. So please, Margaret, when you say it.
I can absolutely say it's with no new money, because that's all people hear me say these days. But yes, it is.
Well, I mean, you've obviously run the numbers, so you're looking at how these numbers work,
yes.
Right? So, are we?
It's just using the monies that were budgeted in different ways, and eliminating some of the software that can be replaced by this other software.
And you're looking at annual costs, I assume, for these, well, My Learning Plan, RTI, et cetera. Those are annual costs?
Annual costs.
Right, annual subscription fees,
Yeah.
license fees?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
They go away.
They go away.
Well, replaced by something else, but go ahead.
The one area I maybe could get a little more clarification on the lease agreement, it mentions $304,000. So I've been on the board enough to think that, or remember that we seem to spend between $300,000 and $350,000, Margaret, you might be able to answer this, annually on computer refreshing or replacements on hardware. And so, I don't know if, I think they previously have been outright purchases, but, and so explain to me how, what the difference here, and is it any different? What's the deal?
The difference is that you're buying the bulk of it right up front, instead of buying a few this year, a few next year, and that's what gets you into that 5-year, 7-year, 8-year-old computers, instead of getting them and then staying on a refreshing cycle. That's what you have to keep in mind, that this technology doesn't last as long as it used to. So you've got to stay on the refreshing cycle.
So we're looking at, if I can clarify, I think the aid we could use to enter into another agreement.
Correct.
Or to refresh further. So we're going to have an initial influx of machines and devices with that initial $300,000 payment, because we're getting $1.5 million worth of equipment.
Right.
And so that's new equipment. Next year we could enter another agreement with $150,000 that's reimbursed, or use the $300,000 that is budgeted already. In combination with the 150 to enter into a new agreement. So we can continue to grow, or we can stay status quo. But no matter what, we're going to continue to get new machines in each year. And stay at this 3-to-1 ratio.
I'm not sure if this is going to happen. It'd be good to ask Mike this, but I know at your college when they went on their 3-year refreshing plan, one of the things that was different is that when you buy the computers, we own it, and so when it breaks, we still own a broken computer, right? But through leasing, if a computer breaks, we're not responsible all the time for the repair, because it's not owned by us, it's leased by us, right? So we can ship off the some of the repair costs as well. So there's ways in which we were able to, the college was able to save money by going through a leasing plan as opposed to an owning plan, because once we bought it, we were responsible for it, whether it worked or not.
Right.
I'm actually shocked that we haven't been on a leasing plan for the school district in some time, and it's almost a joke to go through and see EMAX.
Yeah.
Or it's laughable. I mean, the kids are like, my smartphone does more than this computer does. All right. This is long. We did have an extended conversation last night at the finance committee. What I will say, what I'm appreciative so far is that it seems to be that we're investing significant money in the infrastructure. I'm less interested in investing money into the hardware because the hardware changes so quickly. But to get our infrastructure to be beyond the situations we have now, where I think again it's problematic to be in buildings and you can't get wireless, or to, as a teacher, to not be able to download a YouTube clip, or to wait 15 minutes for it to load while I'm trying to teach something in the moment. What a poor pedagogical practice to have. So to be able to invest in our wireless infrastructure, our bandwidth infrastructure, is, I think, absolutely essential for the next wave of teaching that's coming. And not just, I think, as Susan alluded to, some of our less experienced teachers are coming with more experience in technology.
Yeah.
Right, so they're much more adept at using it, and much less about smart boards and much more about access to the web and to things like that. So the numbers do scare me, as I told you yesterday. They're big numbers. I like hearing about that it's no new money. That part feels good, but also the fact that as we've been doing with our buildings and investing significant sums of money in the facilities and the infrastructure of our school buildings, I think we have to actually do the same thing with the infrastructure of our technology. And this seems to be getting us down that path in significant ways, and not sort of incremental ways. And I'm glad that you said it's an equity issue, because I'm amazed at the lack of access from building to building. That's a problem as well. That this is an equity issue to make sure that all buildings have reliable, open access to
lack of consistency of access.
Correct point.
And we're talking about X dollar amount of equipment purchased, or ability to lease year to year. Are we still talking PCs on a desk, or are we talking laptops, or what?
Combination
to be determined as the needs of the district evolve or change, or what are you looking to?
It's a combination. We're looking at tablet devices like an iPad, we're looking at laptops, and we're looking at netbooks. Depending upon the pedagogical needs, one may choose a different device. What's great is the conversation has shifted in the last 3 months. When people have a conversation about which one they would use and why. That wasn't happening when I was here in the spring, because we were just trying to get our hands on Emacs. Now we're talking about how would I use an iPad with my kindergarten versus a laptop with my AP government classes. That's likelier to have where we were last spring. So it'll be a package deal. We'll have, I think we're getting close to 400 of the iPads, another 400 netbooks, and I don't have the specific number, but it's an equal amount for each one.
Right, that's the point. I mean, a static computer sitting on the desk is...
Oh, we're not buying any more desktops. Let me just go on record and say, for me, a desktop is obsolete. We only purchase devices that are mobile. We can, the MacBook Pro or MacBook is much more powerful than any desktop that most of us ever work with, and we can move that now.
Right, I just wanted to make that clear, that when we're talking a refreshment, we're not talking a replacement schedule, we're looking at really changing the type of technology that's used in the classroom. And that's what you're trying to go for here.
That's it.
Okay, all right. I was at the meeting yesterday too, so I'm trying to get this straight.
Help me with the facility stuff.
More questions, go ahead.
I just have a technical question. If we get $150,000 back and we spend it, do we get $75,000 back the next year?
What we spend it on.
From year to year, whatever you're spending, you get the aid on, about 50%.
Okay, so we could.
So you just, and that's the whole idea of this leasing and refreshing cycle is you're maximizing the aid.
The initial.
Don't go Ponzi on me, Judy. So, you know, be careful, right?
Ponzi's when you go bigger.
Yeah, well, you know. Go ahead.
We should say one of the questions that we had yesterday as a committee is, you know, there's a lot of new things coming, and a lot of all good things, but also it can seem overwhelming for teachers in particular. We're constantly changing systems, right? We're using different software packages. Now we're talking about different possible devices, and to try to find ways in which to make sure that whatever we're investing in will be used, and that's why I'm much more in support of investing in infrastructure as opposed to device, and that the teachers sort of dictate or decide how they want to make that happen. So, but we are relatively assured vis-a-vis the Dr. Brown Memorial Infrastructure Web Technology Fund that he's going to find a way that teachers, you're going to be working with young folks, yeah, you like that. You're going to be working with young folks, or with teachers to make that happen.
Yeah. And thanks for putting that out there publicly, by the way. What I would add, there's a demand. Folks are asking for these tools, and teachers are coming to me. Experienced teachers and new teachers, they're wanting to have this type of collaboration. They want to have the devices, so I'm meeting their demands. Yes, there's going to be some training involved with using some of these tools and some of these packages, but I can tell you we won't move forward our PLC work and our framework without these tools. And moving it forward is going to require some folks to use these tools, even if they're uncomfortable with it. But I'd rather them not to be uncomfortable, for them to be uncomfortable using a tool and moving the work forward than not to have the tool and the work to stop. And I think that's where we are as an organization right now.
Any other questions? Anyone? Any other points you want to make, Dr. Brown?
I think that's it.
Anything else we can ask of Margaret while she's... no, I guess not. Anything else, Brad, on this?
Do we need to move the resolutions? Should we pull them off the consent?
Yes, we do. Well, I suppose we do at this.
I'll move the resolution to approve agreement for wide area network for those CN BOCES.
And we will do these in turn.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this particular item? We had a broad overview. Now we're on to the individual resolution. Anything else? All in favor? That's everyone. On to number 9.
I move the resolution to approve an agreement for fiber for high-speed communication with OCN BOCES.
Second.
And just clarification, Dr. Brown, you mentioned, Rick, RIC stands for?
The Regional Information Center.
Right, that's not our BOCES, that's Onondaga County.
It's OC.
Yes, it is.
Okay, Onondaga.
Onondaga.
It's Onondaga.
Yeah.
Cuba, Madison, OCM BOCES up in Syracuse. That's not offered here, so.
Portland, Madison. Onondaga, Portland, Madison.
Sorry. Just to be clear, so it's not offered at our local BOCES that we're part of, but we're tapping into the RIC in essentially Syracuse, right? Okay, just be clear. Anything else? All in favor? Everyone?
Keep going, Brad.
Move a resolution to approve an agreement with SchoolNet for a web-based instructional management system.
Second.
By Sean. Any questions? You good, Judy Max?
Yeah, I was matching it up.
All in favor? Is everyone? And one more. 13.
I'll move resolution to approve agreement for classroom technology, library automation, and other instructional technologies.
Second by Chris. Any questions, comments? All in favor? That's everything. Okay, thank you for a detailed explanation of the consent agenda and those items. I appreciate that. We like transparency. Superintendent's report, that's you.
All right. We have several items tonight. Some announcements, and then I wish to give you a facilities update and where we are with the opening of school, and I hope it's some help from people on that. The first announcement, I think you've already mentioned, we have an August graduation ceremony next Wednesday night. We have 7 graduates who will be earning Regents diplomas next week. And I believe that's 6, what time again, Dr. Meyer? 6:30 p.m. So we're looking forward to that ceremony.
Where?
The library, it's the high school library.
Okay.
Secondly, we're doing a State of the District presentation as part of the opening convocation for staff on September the 6th. That will begin at 8 a.m. and the board is invited. As per policy number
0315.
That's my man right there. So I'm attending to all policies, including that one. So that will be the State of the District presentation as part of the opening day convocation on September the 6th, which is my birthday. Did y'all know?
Everybody wanted your picture then, wouldn't you?
No cheerleaders. All right. Okay, and as far as the facilities update, we've handed out that leaks in their packet.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to attempt to go through some highlights and provide some updates related to where we are right now and some of our facilities as we open school. And while doing so, I'll play, let's get the right one here. I'll be showing several pictures. Some pictures I'm hoping will bring a smile to your face. So I'll start with it's the high school. Yeah, we have lights in the gym. I made a brief on them because we have lights now. But the lights are in the gym. It looks like a new gym.
Dr. Brown, it's been 30 years.
30 years with that light. It looks like a different gym. I've never seen anything transform like that overnight. So the lights have been installed. It looks like a brand new gym. The athletic locker rooms have been redone. And they look great as well. We're still waiting on some trim work to be completed, but the bulk of that work has been done and looks great. As you probably can tell riding by, the main parking lot is close to being completed. You will notice that the bus loop, we won't finish the bus loop until after all the other projects are done. But the main parking lot is fairly done and will be ready for the opening of school.
But by finish, there will be pavement on it. It won't be a finish.
Won't be a finish. Yeah.
Just don't want people to think they're going to be driving on a dirt driveway.
And going down, the lockers, the high school new lockers have been installed. And you'll see some pictures showing those as well. The Health and Wellness Center is going up. They worked on the gym. The entire project is slightly behind schedule, but we're hoping they'll catch up and be completed by, what's the deadline, the date?
We've asked for it to be ready for the spring semester, so it's January 25th.
In Culp, the projector and screen will be installed by October the 3rd, so it won't be ready for the State of the School District presentation, but we will have a projector and a screen in Culp in the coming days. And I'll just shift to Bell Sherman because you're probably seeing some pictures from Bell Sherman here now. The paving will be completed by September the 2nd. And the site utility will be completed by September 2nd. The panels, and I'm going to struggle with this word, phenolic panels? Did I get that?
You got it.
Wow. Phenolic panels. I'm going to say that. Phenolic panels will be installed, and the final panel will be installed by mid-October. So they're on order, and it takes a while for them to arrive. The gym floor will be completed by August the 30th. The window replacement is complete at Bell Sherman. And we're waiting on some inspections on August the 26th and August 31st to allow for occupancy of the new addition, the gym.
There is other work going on inside Bell Sherman as well.
The office space.
Right, changing the principal's office. There are reconfiguration of some smaller classrooms and addition of a larger classroom space, I believe, on the second floor.
On the second floor.
So it's really a major change to the Kappa Gymtorium. That's the last one in the district. So that's the old word that we used to use when we started out this process. So Bell Sherman is going to have a real gym, and well, it's coming up, but you'll see the floors going in. There's the hoops are up. That's the courtyard basically, and that's the gym, and the colonnades on the side of the gym, and that's the addition. So.
And I spoke to Mr. Ryman today. He's going to be having some conversations around the area in the courtyard area, and whether or not we're going to stay with the most recent decision to have it just asphalt, or if he's going to look to do a more creative design there. But he's having a conversation, and we hope to have a decision in the coming days. And so we'll shift down to infield, and as you know, we were renovating the office area, and that work is scheduled to be done and turned over to the district on August the 29th. The drywall and painting have been completed. The ceiling and the carpet will be done this week, and the PA system and the door will be done this week as well. So infield is moving along, and we're hoping to transition the principal into her new spaces in the coming week. And those are the big projects. Well, our middle school is Boynton and DeWitt. As you know, the capital reserve improvement on the ballot, on May 2011's ballot, there was a capital reserve improvement initiative, and that was approved by our voters. And with that, part of that was Boynton getting a new front entrance and getting some work done to the front entrance. And that has, I think, are we done, Paul, as of today?
No, that'll be done by September 2nd.
By September 2nd, by the opening of school, the Boynton entrance will be done. And at DeWitt, the stalls and petitions are almost done. They're done by September the 2nd. At DeWitt, we're going to have brand new stalls and petitions, something I heard a lot about when walking through schools last year.
I assume that means partitions. I assume that means partitions.
Oh, you have a typo? Yeah. I've been working in another world today. But yeah, I'll fix that for it again. So the bathroom stalls and partitions will be completed. And, you know, you see other schools, including Cayuga Heights, LACS, where we have some punch list items that are set to be completed prior to the opening of school.
Yeah, we want to say for people to hear the redo of the gym floor at LACS that was damaged by water. That work is restarting now, and what did they tell us last night? September 7th is the target date to have that redone?
The middle of September.
Middle of September,
Yeah.
so middle of the month?
Yeah.
Approximately a week after school.
So about a week after school. So unfortunately, they won't have it available to them that first week, but they should have it after that. And, well, yes, yeah, good point. And the work to divert the water, assuming we get another 4-inch rain, that's to be completed at approximately the same time.
So that's capital work. We've done a lot of human capital work and physical capital work this summer, and we're confident we're in a great place going forward. And that concludes the superintendent's report for tonight.
Just regarding the high school, and we're back to the parking lots. Brad, you mentioned a bus loop.
Yes.
There, at the high school, there will be a separate bus loop and a parent-child drop-off.
Yes. As we've done at a number of the other buildings, there will now be a separate drop-off.
So we're going to ask parents to train themselves that, you know, the bus loop is for buses. It is not to drop your child off. And so there's going to be a designated area.
Well, the bus-only sign, we'd like people to actually pay attention to it now and make it bus-only.
But
The sign was obeyed only in the breach in the past.
The student drop-off by car will be obvious, so it will be a separate loop within the parking lot. The bus loop will be separate and be closer. So, you know, we'll start now, and hopefully parents will enjoy the new parking lot and the new traffic circles, but certainly let our buses get in and do the drop-off in their designated area. It is a change at the high school, a much-needed improvement. It took 30 years to fix the lights. It probably took 50 years to finally get a bus loop in. So we're always happy with progress. So it's all good.
Extended the sidewalk down Rosemary Lane, so the buses that park down there for the pickup, the kids now can walk on an actual sidewalk to get to it.
When you go down to Rosemary Lane, that's the road in front of Joe Moresco Stadium, and that will be a sidewalk. They're about ready to pour concrete down there. That road will be done and open. And Brad, I think the bathroom's supposed to work down at the fields. Yes.
That's what I've been told.
And I'm not even looking at Paul. So we should be all set that way. Teams, you know, fall practice did start August 15th. The locker rooms were open. The kids and the coaches have been great, working around the construction projects as they have certainly last year, and a little bit more time to try to get the final project done at the high school. But they've been great accessing the high school and the locker rooms and the designated area, and the parents are picking up in a different spot. So we appreciate the patience of the staff and students when we're doing these projects, and at least we can see what the end game is here. So we're looking forward to having all these projects done, and no more change orders, no more trying to figure out when we can get students and staff back in buildings. So this has been a long process, and the end is near. So we'll be encouraged and happy to have these facilities up and used. So. That's it, Dr. Brown?
Yes, sir.
All right, so, and on to school district business, and Dr. Brown, I think we're going to probably go to Connie Evelyn with a summer and friends.
Pull up here now.
So we're aware that there was a summer, there was a professional development institute that went on this summer for a few weeks, and we're going to get an update.
It went on for a couple of weeks, and I just want to report some good news, some more facilities good news, that the air conditioning works very well in the high school cafeteria. And it does. And I have evidence of that with some pictures probably that Dr. Brown's going to show of people who have brought blankets from home during the Institute. But anyway, so the Institute did go on, the Professional Development Institute, first one of its kind for our district, in the first couple of weeks in August. And we were expecting 214 educators, and we had over 95% attendance for the 2 weeks. And the first week was really primarily focused on the three hedgehog concepts: the teaching and learning framework, human capital, and the development of PLCs in the district. And as you know, we've been talking about this for 8 months, and some of the time people have been saying, well, what is that? What is the teaching and learning framework document? What are PLCs and so forth? Because there was differentiated understanding of some of the pieces. For example, the high school had had some experience with work around PLCs, but not so much at the elementary level. And really how, the question what came about, and also the question how will we get there? And so the Professional Development Institute was the beginning, or part of the answer to the how. Building level teams came together in the first week that was, again, primarily focused on building our understanding of those hedgehog concepts. And really by their attendance, they made a commitment as a leadership team to go back to their buildings and facilitate conversations around the things they had learned at the Professional Development Institute and how those things are going to support the success of the work moving forward, the district initiatives in terms of moving the district from good to excellent or world-class status, as we like to refer to it. The second week had very specific goals that we identified. We had a different group of people come together in teams to take a look at our ELA and math curriculum, K-12, and make sure, again, to meet our goals around 3 issues. One, to identify grade level expectations. I've been the assistant superintendent here for a few years, and many people have talked to me about do we have a document that really speaks to an agreement, a consensus around what we expect kids to know and be able to do at the end of every grade level? And I looked for it, and I couldn't find it. So that was a problem. And the Common Core, the onset of the Common Core, our acceptance of that in terms of us being a part of the Race to the Top application, was an opportunity for us to outline those grade level expectations and for them to be aligned, again, with the Common Core learning standards. So that work was completed. We also took a look at existing curriculum in the district and created new curriculum, again, to align with the state regs around what kids should know and be able to do at the end of every grade level and across, again, ELA and math, English Language Arts and Math. And we created common quarterly assessments for the first half of the year that was aligned with the curriculum, right? That's aligned with the New York State Common Core to really project our commitment again to holding ourselves accountable around a regular review of the data, and to use that information that we glean from those common quarterly assessments to feed the discussion during our PLC meetings. And that's obviously just only going to be one piece of what folks are talking about, but we certainly want that to be a part of it. I think for the most part, people were happy, other than the air conditioning situation, learning, engaged, and specifically I recognized 2 shifts at the end of this event, this 2-week event, which again is just the beginning of ongoing work. One, I saw an increased understanding of the hedgehog concepts and how we could leverage our understanding of those concepts around student engagement and adult engagement in the work. 2, I saw a renewed awareness and respect for the power of collaboration, right, amongst our professionals in the district. I really did. For me personally, I would just reflect that it was a grand opportunity for me to build relationships with teachers that I hadn't gotten to know over the last 3 years, to continue building relationships with people that I do know, and to deepen and strengthen those relationships. And so for me, that was a huge takeaway. And so I've invited some of our colleagues.
And can we add, because it really was a 3-week opportunity, because we added the Leadership Professional Development Institute, which was formerly part of the retreat. It was Leadership Professional Development as that 3rd week. And I'm hoping that the folks here can speak to that as also, because we really did dig deep into how relationship building and how to establish rigor and lead rigor in our organization and how to lead relevant opportunities for young people also. So it was a 3-week opportunity.
So I had, thank you for that, Dr. Brown. I had actually invited 4 people this evening because we really wanted to have a representative group of elementary and secondary teacher and elementary and secondary principal. Lee Ginenthal, unfortunately at the last minute, had a family matter he had to attend to. And we're sorry he can't be here. He was a presenter during the first weekend. He is a secondary teacher in the district. Lily Kavanaugh is here with us this evening, representing the elementary teacher group, and she was a facilitator during the 2nd week around the curriculum writing and the Common Core Assessment development. And of course, Denise Gomber and Jason Trumbull are here for their perspective from the secondary and elementary principal. And so, Denise, would you want to start? Just give us a introduction.
I can take it even further than the third week in terms of the retreat, because I've seen the connections that transferred into the new teacher orientation and work that we're doing with BOCES right now through some of the mandated requirements through the inquiry teams, the data teams. I certainly agree with everything that Connie said, that what our experiences have been is, in addition to sharing the common language, the adults are going a lot deeper. We're asking each other a lot more difficult and challenging questions. So I think that there's been, not I think, I know, there's been a lot more courageous conversations taking place. We're building trust. We're curious about each other's buildings. We're asking about each other's kids. I had a conversation today at BOCES as a result of conversations that took place the second week of the Summer Institute and the third day of the Leadership Institute. And it was around student data, and we were looking at fourth graders. And while overall scores didn't meet AYP, we were looking at kids who had started to close the gap, a cohort of kids. And one school was asking another school. So we're going a lot deeper. The thing that's happening too, we're just, it's very focused. It's very focused, and it's very explicit, and it's about student learning, and it's about adult learning, so that we're doing right by kids. And those are the common threads that have happened from the first week in August right up into the workshop today. So another experience is just the ability to be working administrators and teachers together, and elementary and secondary. I think we've done a lot with working out, sharing ideas. We worked out a timeline from September to December for an implementation plan, and we're very excited about it. So it's very encouraging. It's probably the most invigorating and encouraged I've been, just in terms of professional data in a while. So it's great. So you say? Yeah.
Denise took everything I was going to say. I concur with what Denise said in terms of the connectedness and the weeks and the development that we've been established. I'm excited for a couple of reasons. At the first week of the Professional Development Institute, we had a wide range of staff, Representative Boyden ranging from English math teachers ranging from 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade to physical education and reading teachers, and folks that are now starting to use common language when we talk about expectations and really defining what professional learning communities are. So we've got a team of 11 folks ready to go back, representative of all the grade level teams and all the disciplines in our building, to come back and introduce these topics to begin the conversation. What is it that we really want students to know? How will we know when they know it? If they do know it, what will we do when we don't? We talk about formative assessment. So we've got a lot of excitement around formative assessments, and we've made a commitment at the secondary level to launch our first set of formative assessments before the first marking period. So we're going to know right off the bat, and we're going to parlay this energy into the beginning of the school year. So that's exciting for us. The other part that I'll add as well is that Mr. Knight and I have been meeting every week this summer to talk about bringing our staffs together. We've committed our staff time after school, our 2 Wednesdays a month with each other's staff. So we're going to be getting the DeWitt and Boyden staff together to expand our definition of professional learning communities, and really when we say, okay, what are common experiences for 6th graders, we've got our 6th grade folks working together by at least beginning in content-specific areas so that we have common experiences across the building. And that's exciting for the two of us to come together that way and to see that kind of exchange between buildings. So expanding on the rigor and relationship piece. So that's been exciting work that's come out of all these weeks together. So not to speak for Mac, but I know he's excited as well.
So I led the K-5 math folks. There were about 30 elementary school teachers, and we had some exciting discussion, to say the least. Dr. Brown was there for part of it, where I had to break it down with my big hand movements. Yeah, cheerleader. I was definitely a cheerleader. And we went through a process of really delving deep into our Common Core learning standard, which was exciting. You know, we really hadn't been provided an opportunity to do that before, so thank you. We were ready for the challenge, and it was a challenge, right? So we looked at exactly what are these standards saying, and then creating student learning outcomes, and identifying power standards. What's going to give us the biggest bang for our buck, basically. So we're looking at things like leverage across different disciplines, endurance over time, readiness for the next level of learning. And what's exciting is because so many elementary folks went through this process, and they did the same thing in the ELA with Lynn Van Wert, and we followed a very similar protocol, which was great. Now they're going to go back to their schools and help us roll this out. I believe the first October PLC day, we're going to firm up our common quarterly assessments and look at our instructional maps and really put forth what has to be done next. So it was one of the most exciting weeks of my life. And I think it was true for a lot of people. They were really, really excited and invigorated. So.
Well, can I just say also, it was great to have Susan with us. Susan was with us.
It was an honor.
Through the whole transition, through every aspect of it. So there was just always that teacher perspective there. That was very helpful. And again, today we were together, and it transferred from things that we had done at the Institute together for new teachers.
So good.
So I got a chance to spend some time and see some of the training over the past few weeks, and it's been impressive, and everything they've said here about this feeling of focus and attention and new learning opportunities is all true. But I did want to ask kind of a question about going forward. Your buildings, it's been nice, everyone's sitting around relaxing, talking, working, you know, during these trainings, but your building will be soon filled with children, parents. How are we going to not let the day-to-day crap that consumes us kill this energy and this focus that we have? Because, you know, from the teaching level to the administrators, the job's going to hit you, and how are you going to, have you thought about that at all? I know you talked about it some, but what's the...
Start with just a few things that have been put in place. That's one of the things we talked about as elementary principals. We had come up with questions for Dr. Brown after the initial phase of the Institute. And we just brainstormed, and those were some of the issues. So we put them into categories of which questions relate to relationships, which ones relate to rigor, which ones relate to relevance, and really prioritize those. And came up with ideas, infrastructures to put in place right away. There's going to be weekly professional learning community time. Buildings are in different places with how they're doing it, but there's just untouchable, uninterrupted professional learning community time built into people's schedules. We've been we have a plan for the use of our staff meetings. The use of our administrative team meetings. So a lot of it has been, what are our existing supports for time and how are we using it, and how is it not working for us? Because we get off onto other topics or something else comes in. We've really been gatekeeping that this is a priority. And so buildings are, from September through December, there are plans for weekly time, for RTI time, and for staff meeting time. It's completely devoted to this. Administrative team time, we went through that, organized that. PLC time for the district day. Originally it might have been Dr. Brown's and like a half day here and a half day there, and we adjusted how those days are being used so that when the day-to-day things come and kids are in your building and you're working with parents and you're excited about this and challenged about that, there's sacred time to keep this moving, and the commitment is there. The commitment is there.
I'll also say that the planning that's gone into this has provided, or I'll say in terms of planning for focus, that I don't get a sense at all that we're saying, well, let's try it for September and see how it goes. I think the commitment to, whether it be weekly and then bi-weekly staff meetings, that deliberate time to coordinate, and really the deliverables of what we're talking about in terms of saying, okay, this first quarter we're going to have the formative assessment, and then we're going to sit down at this time and go through the data to see where our children are and what are we going to do for our children based upon that data, is the focus and clarity that we need. We're talking about road mapping it throughout the year, and we're getting close to that. So that's going to keep us on point. And when we talk about SMART goals, we're talking about professional learning communities establishing those goals based upon the data that we have to really not get brought down into the mire of the day-to-day triage stuff, but to say where are we going? Because from those professional development goals are going to be, from the PLC goals are going to be our larger building goals as well. So hoping to get everybody on board, because the PLC tenet that everyone will be on board is really a big part of the focus and planning that we're going into, really anticipation of a week and a half time before we see the entire staff back. So I'll also say that in all of our contact that this is really the first time that I've had the ability over the summer to sit and plan with a team of teachers versus myself and my partner saying, where do we want to go, and then launching what felt like something new on the first day of school. Now we've got 11 folks saying this is where we're going to go throughout the school year, and everyone's going to be on board. So it isn't, I should say that we're very much in the context of saying, what do we have in existing systems now, and how do we bring the focus to it? So I can say it at Boynton, it isn't a new timeline shift or a new configuration, but it's a new focus with a heck of a lot more buy-in than we've had in the past.
I also was at a couple of the meetings, especially the first week. From a teacher's viewpoint, I've never seen so many smiles and such a warm and happy reception to what was being asked. I thought that one of the neatest things was the rolled up piece of paper tossed around the room. I thought that was a neat exercise. I think the morale is improving. That was one of the goals that we had. I do question, you know, in the doldrums of winter, how we're going to keep the morale up. I have the same question, you know, you go into a PLC and Johnny has been bad for everybody, you know, and how do you stop people from talking about that instead of what we're supposed to be talking about? The fires you have to put out, and I question that. I just want to say the other thing that really impressed me was that it was our staff that presented, except for the first 2 days. The respect, just the willingness to work with our staff and to get going and have our staff be able to do all of this was amazing and was great to watch. So thank you.
Denise, you want to respond?
I'm hopeful that the better we get at this, the less of those fires there will be.
Yeah.
The more engagement there will be, the more focused kids will be. They'll be in more control but empowered with their learning. It's going to take a while. It's moving more quickly than I've seen anything move before. But it's leading up. It's leading up. And
we need little, like carrots or something when it, you know, something goes down, like, we need a boost somehow. And that was an amazing boost, but we need it throughout the year.
Those cold days are going to come and please, I know now. But what's going to change the morale booster at that time is going to be the student results. By midwinter of this time we're talking about, we're going to have our second common assessment done, and our teachers are going to see that data when they're together in their PLC teams around assessment that they created, so they know they're reliable and they're valid, and they're going to see some shifts in student achievement, and that's when it's going to start to click again for people, and they're going to see that this thing is working. As I'm taking notes here, we laid out a plan to go to excellence. We talked about discipline people, discipline thought, and action. level 5 leadership and getting the right people on the bus and in the right seats was the disciplined people. We have the people that can do this work now. We spent some significant time talking about level 5 leadership and defining that and what it's going to look like for us leading it forward. The action and the thought is around the hedgehog concepts and technology accelerators. I think we've been talking about all of that. What was bringing me, what's pleasing me is the rate in which we're doing it. It has been accelerated, and believe me, people have come into my office and said, we're doing this too fast, why are we doing it fast? And those same people are coming back a week or two later after going through some of these experiences and saying it's working. So I'm not that one to push on the brake. I'm the accelerator kind of, and I'm waiting for somebody to come beat me and tie me down and say we can't keep doing it. But at this point, the build-up phase is going very well. And doing this in 8 months, and when I first came to you, I said it may take us a couple of years to do this build-up work. I'm happy with the place we're in right now, just after 8 months. But we have much more to do. And when we see those student results, it's going to all start to connect again.
Go ahead. Yeah, I just wanted to briefly, I know a lot of people work hard, participating in these trainings, but I just want to acknowledge Connie Evelyn's work and leadership in organizing, a lot of these trainings, and I know it was fun. And go ahead, Chris.
I just wanted to say it's extremely refreshing to hear Jason talk about him and Mac, getting together and those silos that have been, they're just there over years and collaborating and brainstorming and sharing the common and consistent understanding of moving this school district forward. Just having a newly turned 14-year-old that's leaving middle school, going to high school, and I've had, children go through Boynton and DeWitt, and knowing the differences, good and bad, the consistency needs to be there. And that's really positive to hear as a parent. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Chris. I was going to speak to that a little bit as well. As not a teacher, community person, I'm just a guy in the community. The idea that Boynton and DeWitt have not been talking. I mean, it's like the lights in the gym in high school. Everybody knew they didn't work, but it took 30 years to fix it. And so the expectation from the community and from us is going to be a push to ensure that Boynton and DeWitt, or the staff, has the opportunity to work together to ensure that our 8th graders are ready for the rigor of the high school. So how does that work? Well, that's professionals. We're by the community people, Chris, me, the fact that whoever was the leader at Boynton was not intimately involved with the leader at DeWitt and working together, sharing best practices is one of those. It's not really understandable. So we're gonna try to ensure do whatever we can do to make sure that you have the time to do that. And a bunch of the board members, several board members were there during some of those sessions. I stopped by briefly. Biggest comment I got was, while this is from teaching staff, this is one of the first opportunities we've really ever had to come together with the leadership of our school and be together without the demands of the school day, hanging over what we're trying to accomplish. So we're going to have to try to figure out, Dr. Brown, how to ensure that we can keep the time, the schedule, and keep pushing that the ability to have the time to collaborate on what's best for this district and for the students in the district. Without that collaboration between the board, the administration, the leadership, and the staff in the classroom, how is this all going to come together? So we'll have to keep working, because you can eventually fix the lights, Dr. Brown.
Not the solar ones, though.
No.
Not the solar ones.
Or the bad.
Not to continue on this sort of congratulatory stance that we've been on for a little bit, but I think it's warranted when we do good work. And as someone who's done a bunch of professional development, staff development, both this district and other districts, what I appreciated about what I saw in my limited time there as well is that I've been a part of a number of phenomenal professional development experiences with a disparate number of district employees. So we have great conversations, and we look at each other like, okay, we get it. But how do they translate this back to our school? So the fact that you had folks come together as a collective but also be school-based was a phenomenal design. And I think I even heard from Jason by saying now he's a cohort he can pull on of folks that have a common understanding, common shared language, and can help move the work, because oftentimes what takes place is, one, just the elimination of misinformation about what took place and what we're trying to accomplish. And so you have more folks sort of speaking and being involved in the process. And so to do a collective and school-based gets us beyond one of the barriers I've seen repeatedly was great training, but then how do I translate this back to my own building? And so to that sort of design, and I have to agree with, I saw a lot of cold shivers, right? I mean, I saw that, but I saw people who were, interestingly, even while the day was on engagement, that were actively engaged. And I think, doesn't mean that everything went as you always want it to be, doesn't mean there is room for improvement, but it's a solid step to getting folks on board for what we're trying to do. And as a board, I feel like I can speak for many of my colleagues, we don't want people to pump their brakes. We're looking for drastic improvements, and I think I heard Brad say this the other day, leapfrog, not incremental. We find ourselves...
No interest in incremental change.
Absolutely. We find ourselves in a pretty unique position with a good, phenomenal, talented bunch of not just educators, but administrators. I would dare say a solid board that understands these issues pretty the complexities of them, and wants to support this work. And so I've always said it in terms of my own research, if this community can't solve this educational crisis, there's no community in the country that can. And so I have faith in our ability. I told people I'm not betting, I'm betting on us. I have faith in us to make this happen. So good work, it's good folks, and looking forward to what's ahead.
Thank you.
So I just really feel like I need to add that no one person could pull this off by themselves, okay? So this was a collaborative effort of administrators and teachers and teacher leaders across the district. I had Adam Bachner with me as an administrative intern all summer, and so I just really feel that it's appropriate that I say that because we were all sort of working with one another, running ideas past one another, and trying to ensure that we did have some of the outcomes that we met with. So I just really feel like it's very important to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Susan, did you want to
I want to add a little piece, because the questions you ask are valid. How are you going to translate this? How is it going to come into the classroom? I just want to help you reflect on how you learned to do something new, like riding a bike, and you rode with training wheels, and then that one wheel came off, then two wheels came off, and you wobbled a little, and you rode into the mailbox or the hedges to stop because you weren't sure or whatever. You know, there's a long learning piece. What's most important is the teachers are engaging in this essential conversation with each other, that they are beginning to work, just beginning to work together on the common cores and goals. It's going to take some time. And what we encourage and are hopeful about and optimistic about is this is the first time we are cognizant of the support that's coming from everyone around them in administration to take some of the risks that you have to take and to make changes as we go to make it better. Because we're looking at differentiated instruction, we're looking at standards, we're also looking at some new APPR rulings, and I don't want people to constantly be looking over their shoulder at who's watching. I want them to be looking at the kids and focusing on where we're going. We're gonna fall off a few times, we're gonna scrape a knee, but we will be riding that two-wheeler very soon. And so that's important to remember, and this was a safe environment to think outside the box and question. And it's the first time I've begun to hear people be more optimistic about having faith in their skills and working together. Not you're doing it wrong, but here's a common way we can do it. Let's give this a try. Let's work on this and report your work. Come back. You have a place to check in, a place to talk about it without worrying that it's a critical in a way that's adversarial to yourself, but rather something that will say, this worked, this didn't work, I tried that. It's really the beginning of what PLC is about. So I encourage you to keep asking the question, but also to instill in your plan the need for some time as we see this grow. It will take us a few years to get there, but at least we're on the path, and we're started. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Susan. We'll consider this a reprise portion.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yes. Shirley, did you want to?
You can look at your own high school as an example of how the momentum keeps going, because there was no reporting on the high school. In English worked half an hour every single day from April 5th to June 10th when working on common assessments and aligning the Common Core curriculum. We met with LACS the second week. we have in place 2 quarterly assessments for every grade level from 9 to 12 with LACS. I'm looking forward to the day when we take our inferential quiz on Frederick Douglass' piece and go in with LACS and see how did your students do compared to with our students, and what did we get right and what could we do better. So I mean, we're looking forward to that because we're there in a sense already. They will be there. I mean, I'm very confident.
Sure. This is the reprise piece. Anyone else? Very good. Thank you all very much. Thank you for hanging in there with us tonight, and thank you for all your work, not only the last few weeks, but every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other business by anyone, board members, superintendent? I see a list of...
I need to add the audit committee date.
Oh, you have dates?
Yes. I 11 for the yesterday.
Did I hear 11?
I think it's the 21st.
21st.
Is that what we agreed to? 21st. September.
At what time?
5 o'clock. Yeah. Riveting stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, it is Finance Committee meeting last night. That was our first look at the reserves. Really, the budget, as we said before, the budget process really starts in August. We get a look at reserves. Audit comes back in early mid-September. This is really the process, the start of the budget process for 12-13. So it's very good information. Will be gathered by all. So anything else on the list? Are we good?
I'll just say one thing, that if you can keep Mr. McKnight in your thoughts, he's going to be undergoing a procedure tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow's the day.
Yeah, being the other focused person he is, he's already thinking about how he's going to get back before school starts.
Yeah.
So just,
Yes,
he's a
same
special,
surgeon.
special man, but he's going to be doing that tomorrow.
Thank you, Lavelle. Thank you for putting that out. Anything else?
Excellent.
We good, Jay?
I will be adjourned.
Thank you, Jay.
Second that.
Without objection.
Yeah, well, yeah.